Okay, I have 9:30. At this time, I'd like to call the webinar meeting of March the 3rd, 2023, the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission to order. This electronic meeting is being streamed live for the public to attend and recorded as a public record. The recording of the meeting will be available at www.northcarolinawildlife.org. And at this time, I will call on Margot Minkler for a roll call of commissioners present.
Good morning. I'm going to do a roll call for our meeting on March 30th, 2023. Monty Crump,
Here.
Tommy Fumble,
Here.
David Hoyle, John Coley, Wes Seegers, Mark Craig,
Here.
Tom Berry, Brad Stanback, Jim Ruffin,
Here.
Ray Clifton, Kelly Davis,
Here.
Steve Wyndham,
Here.
Landon Zimmer,
Here.
John Stone, Hayden Rogers, John Alexander,
Here.
Tom Hayslip, J.C. Cole, Mike Alford.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Margot. North Carolina General Statutes 138A-15 mandates that the commission chair shall remind all commissioners of their duty to avoid conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict under this chapter, and that the chair also inquires as to whether there is any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the commission at this time. It is the duty of each commissioner who is aware of such personal conflict of interest or an appearance of a conflict to notify the chair of the same. And at this time, I would ask, are there any commissioners that wish to notify of a conflict of interest and for recusal? Hearing none, I'll move forward with the agenda. We move forward to rulemaking, and I'll call on Christian Waters, our inland fisheries chief, to present permanent rulemaking adoption of 23-24 annual cycle rules inland fisheries. Christian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, commissioners. The only fisheries item today is the final consideration of the 2023-2024 fishing rule proposals. There were 9 proposals that were noticed in December as part of the annual rule cycle, and they were publicized for public comment. Exhibit A1 summarizes those public comments. For all 9 proposals, there was greater than 60% support. And 5 of those proposals, the support was greater than 84%. I'll quickly note the other 4 proposals. Trout Proposal 3, which had 63% support, addresses hatchery supported waters in Peak Creek, and the concerns there were generally related to the loss of trout waters. However, this proposed change essentially implements the management already occurring and reflects our access to stock. Striped bass proposal number 1 only had 61% support. It addresses striped bass in the Cape Fear River. We will recommend not adopting this proposal. Restoration of a self-sustaining population is currently not feasible due to the locks and dams. We will no longer stock striped bass until there is a realistic opportunity for restoration. This will allow us to reallocate hatchery capacity specifically for this year and the next couple of years. We will be using that capacity to produce striped bass for the Roanoke River. And then finally, the last 2 proposals, which basically deal with circle hooks during the striped bass season on the Roanoke River. This change is needed to help reduce catch and release mortality. Are there any questions about the comments before I move to the voting exhibit?
Does anyone have any comments? Hearing none, Christian, move on.
Okay, great. So Exhibit A2 contains the proposed rule text as originally noticed. Staff recommends adoption of the proposed rule changes as presented in Exhibit A2, except for the striped bass proposal number 1 relative to the Cape Fear River.
Do all the commissioners understand the recommendation from staff on A2? With the elimination of the proposed rule for the stocking of the striped bass? Okay, here,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
Steve Wyndham, have Kristen clarify that on the Cape Fear for me, please.
Okay, Christian,
Yes, sir. So, what's happening right now is we are stocking striped bass and have been stocking striped bass in the Cape River for, since essentially 2010. And we have seen, no indication of natural reproduction. And this is, in this case, for the Cape Fear, unlike our other coastal rivers, it's related to the fact that they cannot access habitat above the 3 locks and dams. And so what we had originally proposed was that we would allow anglers some limited harvest of those hatchery produced fish until there was the opportunity for restoration. However, that has met resistance with a number of folks, including the Division of Marine Fisheries. And so our proposal now would be that we not stock the river. Therefore, there is no need to have harvest until there is an opportunity for realistic restoration. And in the meantime, we're able to use our capacity at Watha for other more pressing needs. And for example, in the next few years, that pressing need is to produce fish for the Roanoke River.
Okay, I got you.
thank you, Commissioner Wyndham. Are there any further questions from any commissioners before I call for a vote? If not, I'll entertain a motion in a second. And since we're on a webinar, if you will state your name and who's offering the motion in the second, I'm sure Margot would appreciate it. So I open the floor at this time for a motion in a second.
Landon Zimmer, so moved.
Second, John Alexander.
Do you have that, Margot?
I do. Thank you.
Okay, this time, are there any further questions or debate, discussions? Hearing none, Margot, I'll ask you to do a roll call vote on approval or adoption of Exhibit A2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do a roll call vote for Exhibit A2. Monty Crump,
Yes,
Tommy Fonville,
Yes.
David Hoyle, John Coley, Wes Seegers, Mark Craig,
Yes.
Tom Barry, Brad Stanback, Jim Ruffin,
Yes.
Ray Clifton, Kelly Davis,
yes,
Steve Wyndham,
No.
Landon Zimmer,
Yes.
John Stone, Hayden Rogers, John Alexander,
Yes.
Tom Hayslip, J.C. Cole,
Yes.
Mike Alford.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have a majority.
thank you. What was that count? Because we
There
had
was
one
only
vote.
one no.
Yeah, so what was the total vote there? Can you give it to me right quick?
Yes, sir. It's 9 for yes, 1 no.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify that for the record. We'll move on now, and I'll call on Darren Barnes, Landon Water Access Chief, to present permanent rulemaking adoption 23-24 annual cycle rules, Landon Water Access. Darren, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, we're going to cover exhibits B1 and B2, which are the proposed rule changes to land and water access rules for the 2023-2024 annual cycle. We'll start with B1, which is the summary of our public comments to our proposed rules. And the majority of our rules had 80 to 90% support for the rules. The one exception was G11, which had about 50-50 support, not support, mainly because it was about horseback riding, and that's a very polarizing issue. So the people who for horseback riding who are not on game lands. Any questions about those comments before I move on to the B2?
Any commissioners have comments at this point or questions? Go ahead, Darren.
Okay, then we'll go to exhibit B2, which are our 11 proposals for adoption. So staff recommends adoption of all 11 land and water access proposals for the 2023-2024 annual cycle.
Okay, commissioners, you've had this information for a while. You've had a presentation this morning. Are there any questions or comment on any of these proposals in Exhibit B2? Hearing none, then I'll ask for a motion in a second. And again, if you identify yourself with the motion in a second, so Margot can get it. So the floor is open for a motion and second approval of Exhibit B2.
So move, Alexander.
Landon Zimmer, second.
You get that, Margot?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, are there any further questions or comments? Any debate from commissioners? Hearing none, all those in, well, I got to do a roll call. Margot, thanks for catching me. Go ahead and do the roll call, Margot.
We do a roll call vote for Exhibit B2, Monty Crump,
Yes.
Tommy Fumble,
Yes.
David Hoyle, John Coley, Wes Seegers, Mark Craig,
Yes.
Tom Barry, Brad Stone. Jim Ruffin,
Yes.
Ray Clifton, Kelly Davis,
yes,
Steve Wyndham,
Yes.
Landon Zimmer,
Yes.
John Stone, Hayden Rogers, John Alexander,
Yes.
Tom Hayslip,
Yes.
J.C. Cole,
Yes.
Mike Alford.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have a majority.
Did you pick up Tom Hazlett's vote? Yes. Could you hear him?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. What was that count, please?
$12 for
Well,
yes.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll move forward with and call on Brad Howard, our Wildlife Management Division Chief, to present temporary rulemaking for CWD. Brad, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. In an email yesterday, I believe you should have received from Director Ingram notifying you of his execution of emergency powers for the CWD rules. The purpose of that was to bridge the gap as 4 of our current temporary rules will expire on April the 11th. The temporary rules proposed today will put into place our CWD rules and will carry us through this fall's hunting season. The rules are presented in your pack and you can see those. I will add that 10B 0504 and 0505 does change our surveillance areas to county line boundaries as we discussed at the previous big game meeting, and adds the new counties for the new surveillance areas. Staff recommends moving forward with these temporary rules, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brad. And I sent out an email yesterday on acting on Cam's request to get the governor's concurrence. And I think the general counsel has that request. I have not heard back from him, so we will be waiting on the governor's still concurrence on that emergency powers approval. And also you noted in that email that I sent out that are having discussions with the House Wildlife Committee chairs at this time to draft a proclamation authority that the commission can use going forward as CWD continues to spread, so we don't have to go through this very cumbersome and onerous process and clean it up a little bit and make it a little more seamless, where we don't have to do a mix of emergency power, temporary rules, and then permanent rules. So just trying to take some of the red tape out of all of that. So are there any questions about any of that stuff that Brad has just gone, the rules that Brad has gone over CWD, or any of the comments I just had before we move forward? We're hearing none. Brad, I'll call for a motion and second for Exhibit C. Steve Wyndham. Motion.
Second, Jim Ruffin.
Second, Jim Ruffin. Thank you. You got that, Margot?
Yes, sir.
Okay, proceed with your roll call vote then, Margot.
Do a roll call vote for Exhibit C, Monty Crump,
Yes.
Tommy Fumble,
Yes.
David Hoyle, John Coley, Wes Seegers,
Yes.
Mark Craig,
Yes.
Tom Barry,
Yes.
Brad Standback, Jim Ruffin,
Yes.
Ray Clifton, Kelly Davis,
Yes.
Steve Wyndham, Landon Zimmer,
Yes.
John Stone, Hayden Rogers, John Alexander,
Yes.
Tom Hayslip, J.C. Cole,
Yes.
Mike Alfred.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have a majority.
Okay, thank you very much. That should end our meeting requirements for the day. Comments under the chairman, I have none other than just, you all got the email yesterday about the passing of David Hoyle's father. I still don't know any arrangements. We'll get them out as soon as we learn what those arrangements are. If they are available at this point, I haven't received them. But just remember to keep him, David, and his family in your thoughts and prayers at this time. That's all the comments that I had, other than to thank each one of the commissioners for taking time out to attend this Zoom meeting this morning. I know you're all.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Tom Berry here. I just wanted you to know that I have been on the call since the beginning. I'm out of the country and couldn't get a connection in. I don't think it makes any difference. They all passed by a great majority, but I agree with everything, all the motions that were made.
Okay, we'll record it as such then. Thank you, Tom. Are there any other comments from commissioners before I move forward to any comments that Deputy Director Kyle Briggs has? Hearing none, Kyle, you have any comments?
I just wanted to reiterate my thanks to the commissioners and express staff's deepest condolences for the loss of David Hoyle's father. That's all I had.
Thank you. Are there any further business or concerns? Hearing none, again, thank you for attendance, and the meeting is adjourned.